Hey guys, Ralph here from the Endgame Investor with this week's installment of the Bitter Endgame Draft with Phil Lowe. And this is actually one of the most popular shows on my channel, Phil. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think I've heard that before, but I'm
Yeah,
I'm honored.
people love when we just yak at each other. Not sure why.
Shut up! I can't stand it anymore! All the time, singing, singing! Why won't he stop?
But you were saying that you were in an existential boredom. Have you gotten over that? Are you taking any drugs to take care of it or anything
Oh, just
recreational?
it's the endless waiting for the end game. It's just, and thank God I only found out about the end game like when watching your show. Like if I had found out about it in like 2000 or 2012, I don't know if I could handle waiting 15 years
Oh, come on.
for
But you
the.
always knew about the crack up boom. It's not like new to you.
I knew how I knew that crack booms happened. I didn't know how they happened. I can only explain it as like living in the Matrix and you don't understand it. Like you know something's wrong, but you don't see the ones and zeros until you put the final piece in for me.
But that's strange. I thought you were a student of the Austrian school.
Yes, I got a graduate degree in Austrian school economics, and I did not know gold was money. I don't know why, but here's the
Yeah.
thing: I'm a classmate of Peter St. Onge, the really popular YouTuber, and he doesn't know
Yeah.
gold is money
He doesn't
either.
know it either. Yeah.
So it's definitely, I didn't like sleep through that class. There wasn't a class where they like, go, by the way, gold is money, everybody. And I like, passed out from drinking the night before and I didn't attend that class or something. No, they definitely did not include that in the lecture, in the thing. And what's weird is they were taught, I remember them talking about Rothbard, but they never made that connection. And a lot of Austrians don't. A lot, and I actually blame Milton Friedman, who's not an Austrian, but I think he muddied the waters so much that people lost the understanding that gold is money. The lesson that I walked away from was that money stopped, like the notes stop working if you print too many of them. And so you should never print too many notes. But
Oh,
there was no connection between notes and underlying money taught to me.
okay. Well, I mean, it is an underlying sort of assumption. It's like if I were to ask you, is gold money before you understood that gold was money, you'd probably say yes, but you probably wouldn't understand the depths of the implications of that.
I would know
That's my
gold was
guess.
money. I would probably have said gold was money,
Okay.
but I don't
Maybe,
know.
yeah, okay. I could see that. Anyway, I mean, we're going to talk about that in the sense that apparently, and I'm not really part of the gold bug community anymore. I'm mostly operating on my own, which is where I usually am. I'm a lone wolf in life and in business and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I couldn't have gotten here without help from others, but I'm kind of on my own now. And I didn't hear that there was a big fuss about people saying that Trump was going to issue a 250 anniversary gold bond or something, or a gold-backed currency, and gold bugs actually believe this. It was on a few shows. I mean, I wasn't aware of it, but again with this stuff, I mean, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, the plan trusters. This was I chat with people a lot, even now, and there were a lot of plan trusters who said something big, something Trump might say something like "I like gold" or something, in a tweet, and people, oh, he's going to make a gold bond, he's going to revalue to gold at some point. But Trump covers everything in gold. It doesn't mean he's going to issue a gold bond.
Gold Bond Medicated Powder. Its triple action formula has the absorbing action of a powder plus the medicating action of a proven itch fighter and the drying action of zinc oxide. Gold Bond, more than a powder, it's medication.
And it didn't happen, right? So the theory was they're going to announce a 100-year gold bond today, yesterday. And
How
then
would that work? What does that mean, a 100-year
I'm
gold bond?
guessing you give them dollars today, and then in 100 years, that bond is redeemable for the gold, for some of the gold out of Fort Knox.
There's like 7 layers of retardedness in that wrapped up.
It's a retarded layer burrito.
Yeah.
Yeah, for one thing, the treasury bonds are gold note. I mean, those are promises for the gold in Fort Knox already. Like the existing treasury notes are just multiple claims on the same pot of gold. So a gold bond is just going to be competing with the existing treasury bond. Now the existing treasury bonds go through the dollar first. This would be redeemable directly and theoretically would be redeemable directly in gold. The other thing I was thinking of was like who was president in 1926? Was it Calvin Coolidge?
Calvin Coolidge, I think, yeah.
Okay, so do you think Trump, if Calvin
Calvin
Coolidge had
Coolidge was
issued
actually not a bad president. He was pretty
no,
decent.
yeah, probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
But if Calvin Coolidge had issued a 100-year gold bond and then 100 years later, do you think Trump would be like, oh yeah, we definitely need to honor that? Or do you think it'd be like, nah, you know what? Here's dollars. We're gonna keep Fort Knox closed.
I think an alien invasion is more likely than 100-year gold bond being paid in 100 years
Yeah,
in
well, not to
gold.
mention it also doesn't change the system. Like this, the existing debt must grow at exponential rate, or the system blows up. The 100-year gold bond is not going to alleviate any of that, not one bit. If everyone abandoned the regular treasury bills for the gold bonds, then the dollar would collapse already. And if it didn't, then the existing system would continue on. So it doesn't change anything. This was pie in the sky nonsense.
What were they thinking it would do? Like what is it? What is their thinking? They're thinking, oh, Trump's going to issue a 100-year gold bond, and then they think magically the entire monetary system is going to be fixed. Like what's going on in their
Yes.
heads?
Yes, that the theory. I mean, these are they're not steeped. They know something's wrong, and they're in the right direction because they're stacking gold and silver. A lot of them, but a lot of them think that Trump is working behind the scenes to move us smoothly back onto a gold standard. Basically, is the rough cut. There's some sort of scam. There's some not scam. There's some sort of scheme underneath the hood where one day we're the dollar is going to be reissued by gold or rebacked by gold, and we're going to enter into a golden age, smooth as butter with no bust.
Well, it is
But
true. It is true technically that the dollars, well, whatever you want to call the dollar, whatever it's going to be after this thing goes away, we could call it a dollar if we want to, whatever. Um, um, it's going to be gold. And then people are going to issue notes on gold, and you can call those things dollars.
well, the
But
problem is they don't want the bust. They're
yeah,
trying to avoid. They're mentally trying to avoid the bust, and you can't avoid the bust. And that's Trump's big problem. Is he promised untethered prosperity. If he had come in like Millet and his inaugural speech was, "We are out of money, and
yeah.
we are going to cut back." I think there might have been an initial grumbling, but I think people would probably say, okay, well, maybe we need to tighten our belts, and this is what we need to do to get back on a gold standard and go through it. But Trump being Trump promised the moon on a platter, and now he's in a fix.
Yeah. So it comes down to there is no avoiding the negative consequences of theft. Like if you have a society where everybody steals from each other, you end up with an entire month. One of the effects is you end up with an entire month of pride, where nude men roam the streets of big cities and scare children. And there's no really coming out of that without pain. You're going to have societal pain. You're going to have reproductive issues, fertility issues, as entire cities stop reproducing. You're going to have the insanity that is caused through depression and drugging of the entire population, whether it's methamphetamines or serotonin inhibitors or whatever they happen to be taking. And a lot of people are not even wise to this, that their kids are being drugged. It all comes, these are all consequences of the same thing. And it's not like, you get back to a gold standard and then you live on the same standard of living. I mean, it's the restructuring of an entire economy. And
Yeah.
that means that nobody has any idea what to do. Very few people. Most people are displaced, and displaced people become dangerous. And there's no avoiding this. Like you
Yeah.
always have to pay your debts, whether they're personal or spiritual or financial, and they're all linked together. Like it's all part of the same thing. and this all has to be paid for,
So I
including
do,
by the stackers, including by the stackers.
yeah, there is going to be a huge crash. Now, I do want to offer a ray of sunshine if people are allowed to engage in the free market as much as possible. It can be over very, very quickly. After World War II, like Japan and Germany were bombed to, or during World War II, Japan and Germany were bombed back to the Stone Age. I mean, you can look at Berlin after, 1945, right? And Japan,
Mhm.
Tokyo, and the other cities the same way. By the 1970s, America was complaining that they were making better and cheaper cars. It doesn't take. It's not like we don't have to be centuries in a dark age. Now, if Diocletian Part Two comes along and makes everybody serfs and removes all property rights and turns us all into feudal serfs, yeah, then it's gonna be a while before we have a Renaissance.
The
Uh,
old pig farmer from Tiberius.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we know him as Diocletinus.
Yeah, Latinus. Okay.
Yeah,
Was
that's
is
that.
he a good one in the Jewish
Oh
Chronicles or a
no,
bad?
no, no,
No,
no. He's
bad
not
one.
good at all. No, he's a bad one.
Yeah. Oh,
We
he's
did not
bad.
get along. He didn't get along with the Judeans. No, not at all.
Well, he was bad for the rest of Europe too.
Yeah.
The feudal system was instituted then and took 1,000 years to get rid of. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't think it will. I think I think if the free market's allowed to really function, a lot of people are going to cry the first few days. Then you're going to get back on your feet, get back to work. All the factories in China are going to shut down. All the factories in America are going to get restarted. Not all, but a lot. 90% of the factory in China, because China is massively overbuilt, and they have, they cannot sustain that level of production for the rest of the world, where the rest of us sit on sofas and do nothing. So they're going to have to shut down a bunch of factories because it's going to be too expensive to run over there, and we're all going to be broke, and we're going to have to start working for a living. So we're going to make a bunch of factories, and it's however long that takes to kajigger about is how long we'll be in a state of penury. But once
Okay.
once we get it up and running, we'll be prosperous again. I have no
Well,
doubt.
I wanted to deal with a possible objection to that and then ask you a question. The possible objection would be there are so many vested interests that are extremely powerful. For example, just to illustrate how powerful they are, you have RFK Jr. As the head of the HHS, and he can barely get anything moving on his agenda. But some small little things like, but he's being railroaded by big pharma at the top, the people with the money, the people that pay off Congress, and then all the vested bureaucrats from previous administrations that he can't move out of HHS, and every move he tries to make, they say he's anti-science and he can't do anything. But those interests are everywhere, and they're especially or even stronger in the banks. So people would say, well, I mean, if we had to restructure the entire economy and reindustrialize the United States, which would be a natural process if it was allowed to happen, wouldn't the vested interest that exists now try to stop it? And the quick answer is they'd be out of money too, because
Yes.
they get their power uh from money that or from credit that is created through the debt that Congress issues and then the Federal Reserve ultimately buys. But once that can no longer siphon value off, then there's no value to that process. And almost instantly, these vested interests lose their core power. Like it doesn't matter what they want to say because they have nothing left. They have no leverage left. And that's what people don't understand. Like it's going to be hard for us, right? And we're at the bottom and we understand what's going on and we have no power. But the people that it's going to be hardest on are the people that really rely on the system for their power because they're going to lose it. And they could go crazy at that point. Like what's Borla going to do? I don't know. Maybe he'll kill himself. I wouldn't be too sad about that. Um,
Or Dr. Hotez.
oh God. Okay. Blah. He creeps me out. Didn't he just get I think he just got in trouble for some sexual harassment thing
Yeah.
or whatever. Ugh.
I take one
Okay.
look at it. I wouldn't be surprised at
Yeah.
that.
What I wanted to ask you was what do you think would happen mechanically if Trump did issue a 100-year gold bond or a 50-year gold bond or revalued or whatever? Like
All right.
what would happen in the following weeks?
Two possibilities. One is the gold bond is taken seriously, in which case everyone stops buying treasuries and runs over to buy the gold-backed treasuries. And then the treasury market collapses because no one's buying it. The Fed has to buy all the treasuries and we go into a hyperinflation.
Mhm.
The other one was that people don't take the gold bond seriously because it's 100 years off, and the risk that they'll default in 100 years is very real. I mean, would you, if Uncle Sam was like, Rafi, would you like this bond and in 100 years we'll give your grandchild some gold? Would you treat that as a gold note?
No, I think it was a circus.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't, I'd rather pass gold off to my grandchildren, not a gold bond from the US Treasury, who's already defaulted on their first gold bond of the Treasury note.
Yeah.
So either if they don't take it seriously, then nothing would change. So either it would accelerate the hyperinflation, or it would or accelerate the end game,
Or it would do
or it would be
nothing.
taken seriously, or do nothing. But
Yeah.
there's no smooth. There would be no smooth transaction. And for the other one of gold revaluation, we've already covered that a million times. A gold
Mhm.
revaluation would be the end game on July 5th. Like if he announced it on July 4th, on July 5th, gas would be $300 a gallon. So he didn't do it. He's not going to do it. Stop plan trusting. We are going to be end up back in a gold standard. We are going to have a golden age after the pain of having to go back in a gold standard. But there's no smooth transition to the gold standard.
Mhm.
I promise people, there's no smooth transition. Brace for impact, and then you will be the capitalists who rebuild on the other side.
Right. That's what it's going to be. Um, our second topic is the unwind of the carry trade. I wrote about this on the Endgame Investor a few posts ago, and I came to the conclusion that the carry trade really can't be unwound. It can just kind of like spiral out of control until there's no point in borrowing worthless yen anymore. I don't have this one completely organized in my head yet,
All right, because I
but
want to challenge that.
the basic idea of what a carry trade is, you borrow yen and then you lend dollars. Is that the idea?
Yeah,
Yeah, so you borrow yen at a low interest rate and you lend dollars at a higher interest rate by buying treasuries, and then you pocket the difference. And meanwhile, the people that you lend dollars to go out and they buy stocks with it or AI bubble stuff or whatever. So it pumps up American assets and it drives down interest rates. It drives down U.S. interest rates. And as long as the differential between Japan and the United States exists, as long and it's been that way for decades. Like
yeah,
interest rates have been lower in Japan than they have in the United States. Then the carry trade will keep going. And as the yen weakens, it becomes even more profitable because when you pay back the yen, you pay it
of
back in
course.
even weaker yen, and you earn that above your profit from the interest rate differential. So how does this unwind? And I don't think it can because I don't think the yen can strengthen
Well, here's the
relative to the
thing:
dollar.
when a currency starts dying, the interest rates go up as the central bank gets more involved. So the more the central bank prints, unlike previous times when the central bank does a massive print, interest rates go back down to zero, near zero. When the currency is dying, interest rates continue to go up because people don't. It's not that they think you'll not be able to pay back. They're worried about what it will buy when it is paid back. So like Argentina had 100% inflation rate or 110% inflation rate and like a 98% interest rates on their bonds back when they were hyperinflating.
Wait,
So
so they still had a lower interest rate than the inflation rate?
so in, inflation is hard to
Yeah.
calculate. So
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Yeah, especially
Because
when it's hyperinflating, all the numbers are made up. But
yeah. So we don't really know. Inflation rate is not a real concept in the Austrian school. Inflation is just printing notes for money you don't have.
Mhm.
But according to the metrics they were using to measure the inflation rate was in the hundreds of like 100 and something percent. But the interest rate was like 98% for their bond. And that you can calculate the interest on a bond. That is well-known information.
Right.
So what I would expect is the Japanese yen dies, and if it doesn't take because I think this is going to be like a singularity event. Like I think that when the yen dies and when the dollar dies is not going to be a long period of time. I don't think it's going to be 6 months or 2 years of hyperinflation in Japan while the Americans are like, what's going on over there? I think it's going to take the dollar with it in short order because it's so heavily connected to the dollar.
Hmm.
But let's assume there's some gap between the two. They don't immediately blow up together. If the yen starts to die, and it is starting to die. That's why if you look at the Japanese interest rate, it's going parabolically up right now. It's still very low, but it's doing this. So that if
Hmm.
you extrapolate up, it's going to be higher than the dollar it's going to be higher than the US 10-year in pretty short order. So as
Oh,
the as
if
the
that happens, then it could unwind.
yes. So as the Bank of Japan prints more and more and more and buys more and more of the BOJ's or the government, Japanese government's debt and starts buying all the shit and just taking on their own balance sheet, the interest rates are going to spike along with the destruction of the yen. I can see Japanese rates spiking much higher than US rates, and that would unwind the carry trade. Now, again, I think the unwinding of the carry trade would set dominoes off in America. So
Yeah.
it's not going to be long. And then the US, we could have both interest rates doing this and the carry trade coming back, but it's at 60%, 70% interest rates instead of 2 and 4.
Right. So if the carry trade pumps up U.S. assets, which it does, then an unwind of the carry trade would deflate U.S. assets.
Yeah, and then the US, then the Fed would have to step in to reflate, and that would be the print. That would be the big one.
So, but the unwinding of the carry trade would require borrowers buying yen back, right?
I No, because the BOJ is issuing new yen at a furious rate. So I don't think they have to buy the existing yen back.
Oh, but they'd have to buy the yen that they have to buy the yen that they lent out,
Yes.
or no, so they have to
Sorry.
that they borrowed. Sorry, the yen that they borrowed. But since there's so much new yen coming online, because the Japanese are in a monetary crisis, then that unwinding of the carry trade wouldn't necessarily inflate Japanese assets above the rate that gold is moving higher. So it would still be the Japanese assets would still be crashing relative to gold, but not as fast as American assets would be crashing relative to gold, I think.
Probably only because if that happens, it would only be because the Japanese have already devalued so much. I
Where
mean, gold is pretty high, and I have a few. Oh, you met my friend Hyoje. He spoke on this. He spoke on
Hyoje,
this
yeah.
channel. Yeah, I mean, gold has really taken off in Japan. So it's starting to become public knowledge. Public knowledge of people are starting to scramble. So
Oh, really? Do you know anything about Japan's cultural relationship to gold over the past, I don't know, since World War II,
yeah, I
before
do
things?
not. I'm not a I'm
No.
not a Japan expert.
Okay, I'd have to look that up. Because we know India has a nice relationship with gold.
Yeah,
We know the Arabs really love it. I don't know about the Japanese. I mean, they seem to be so into tech and new technologies and the latest modernity trade that I think their connection with gold has been a little bit
degraded.
attenuated or weakened.
Yeah. I can say in South Korea in the 90s, there was a financial panic, and a lot of people gave their gold to the government to refurbish the currency or restabilize the currency.
Hmm.
There was a whole patriotic drive, give your necklace to the government to keep the yuan alive.
Yeah, that's not going to happen this time.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think
And
anywhere.
if there's any viewers considering that, under no circumstance should you give your gold to the government.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
Yeah, under no sir. The only thing they want to do with it is inflate over the gold. So you will not save anything. You're not going to help anybody. It's not patriotic. It is not patriotic to give your savings to the government. That's communist nonsense.
It's like when you're coming back from the bar and your friend is drunk and you're the designated driver and he wants to drive home and you're like, no, man, give me the keys. You're not being a friend to your drunk friend by saying, here, take the keys and drive. Like no,
Yeah.
you take it away and you're like, no, 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 you're not driving home, man. I'm not giving you the gold. You've had enough money. I'll tell you when I've had enough. You've had enough money.
All right, that does it. Get out of here, you drunk lowlife.
I'm taking the keys now and
Yeah.
sleep it off, you know.
Yeah, exactly right. I promise you, the viewer, you're a much better capitalist than the government is. So you'll do a much better job and make much better companies and businesses and whatever else. You will spend your money much better than anyone else can. So don't give your money to the government. And they're going to ask. I guarantee there's going to be a patriotic drive. And it might not be it might not be purely voluntary, so you'll need to find ways to put your gold in a dirty man safe at that juncture. That's a
Use
great
code
book.
ENDGAME10 at
Yes.
checkout for 10% off. And you can also take your gold and give it to Keith Weiner of Monetary Metals, and he will earn interest on it for you. And he's not the government, so he's probably not going to steal it. Or at least the chances of Keith Weiner stealing your gold are like infinitesimal compared to the government stealing your gold, which is like close to 100%.
I've been imagined scenarios where like Keith Weiner's like, yeah, I'm just gonna stuff it all in a suitcase and fly up to Tijuana. And I can't picture it. Like he doesn't come across as that kind of guy.
Tijuana.
I don't know. Oh, it's always like they always make a run for Tijuana. Like anyone is like, let's steal something and then we'll go to and like in all the movies. No?
Yeah, yeah.
All of
I've
a
been to
sudden,
Tijuana. I was in Tijuana once.
okay. It's like known as like the you know it's a sunny place for shady people. Let me put it that way.
It's really gross. I just remember it being
Is it
disgusting.
gross? I've never
Yeah,
been. Yeah.
yeah. I was there in 1999 on a trip for like a few,
Okay.
like maybe 2 or 3 hours or something.
I know it's
Um,
famous for like bizarre sex stuff, like the Tijuana donkey shows and stuff like that. They'll do like degenerates. Yeah, exactly what you're thinking. It's
okay.
I know it's like famous for that kind of like absolute disgusting perversion, but I've never been, so I can't speak to it.
Well, we can go on a trip there during the end game and see how it's doing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It won't be any worse, probably. It'll
Not
be the
any
same.
worse
Yeah.
than anywhere else.
Yeah.
But so
I
Tijuana is the baseline. That's what everyone's going to descend to and rebuild from there.
yeah,
That's great.
the end game, we could just call it the global Tijuana event.
God
I
help us
wanted to
all.
ask you about did you see my interview with David Wu?
Yes,
So
very
that
good.
ended up a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
He made some good points that I didn't think of. That the fact that the Arabs couldn't sell their oil for 2 or 3 months, and they can't sell treasuries because the U.S. government would stop them from doing that.
yeah.
Then they have to sell gold to make up their lost revenue, and he thinks that's what they were doing.
That would explain the dip. That would really explain the
Well, at
dip.
least part of it, yeah.
Yeah. It's
Um,
amazing how opaque everything. Like you think we would know. You think you'd know, like, oh, these guys sold hundreds of tons of gold, but
Yeah, and America would love the Arabs to sell their gold because that suppresses the gold price and raises the dollar relative to gold and gives the dollar a little that much more time. And you know what?
maybe this
I'm
is some
also
4D
happy.
chess.
I'm not so sad that the Arabs were selling gold because I don't want them to have any in the end game. I'm not a big fan of Arabs, generally speaking.
Yeah.
So sell it. I'm willing to suffer a falling gold price just so you can disgorge your wealth to get ready for the end game if that's what's needed. So paradoxically, the war which we thought would push gold higher pushed it lower for reasons that if David Wu was right, reasons that make sense. And if oil goes even lower, I'm not sure why it would, but if it does, then we could expect gold to go even lower. And the fact that oil has been behaving like this is it's amazing. I mean, I'm glad I didn't take any oil trades, but I was reading, I know CEOs are saying we're getting really low on the
Yeah.
spare supply that we have, and it's never been this low, and we're expecting oil to like suddenly jack up to 120, 130 because they have no spare supply. And none of that has happened. It's amazing. I mean,
None of that's
you
happened
block
yet.
Hormuz and you block Hormuz for like 3, 4 months, and oil's like 68, 67,
Yeah.
something like that. Wow, there's
I
so much we don't know.
yeah, I think we're dipping into the seed corn. I really do. I don't know because I'm not an expert in that, but if I mean there's no way if you cut off 20% of the world's oil supply, even assuming there's reroutes for some of it, like it doesn't make logical sense. And when something doesn't make logical sense, then something has to be going on.
So you
So
still think that oil is going to spike? You just don't know when? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, yeah. I think we're still draining the SPR, and people are just the oil that was stored is just getting drained down, and at some point we're going to run out of it. And even if Hormuz starts flowing at full levels today, we still have to refill the SP or just leave them empty. I don't really care. I don't think the strategic reserves are anything more than government tools to just to artificially manipulate prices. I'd rather they didn't exist and we just didn't go to war because we knew that we would face higher oil immediately
Right.
or limited
Well,
the war.
I think one of Wu's
But I
pieces of
could be wrong.
evidence. I
I'm
think
not
one
an
of his
oil
one
expert.
of his theories was that, and I don't know enough about the oil market to tell you if this could happen, or I mean, eventually it's going to happen, but if this would how this would affect the price. But if OPEC breaks up, then the oil price would have to go way down because then these countries would start
Yeah.
competing.
Though the OPEC is actually I heard a theory and I think I agree with it. OPEC originally was formed as like contra to the US, but like the US Treasury market basically co-opted it. So now it is part of the system. It's not against the system, the globalist system, I should say.
Mm.
So it is an integral part of keeping the Treasury market alive. So it's not going to break. It's not OPEC's not going to break up until the Treasury market's dead too. U.S.
Oh,
Treasury
you think
market.
they're going to go together?
Yeah, yeah. I think it'll
Okay.
go together. I think we'll have the end game, and then all the oil countries are just gonna be like, well, burn as much as we can because we need to rebuild, or not print, drill as much oil as we can, pump as much oil as we can because we need to rebuild.
Right, and without America over there and its bases protecting the Arab countries, they can end up in like just a massive inter-Arab war.
Yeah. Yes. Get
I
ready
mean
for that.
they hate the only thing they hate almost as much as they hate Jews is each other.
Yeah. The Ummah is not the Ummah. Is that right?
Yeah, well, that's just an Arabic pronunciation of the Hebrew word but
Oh, okay.
or
But
umot
it's not.
olam, like yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, it doesn't really hold that well. But we'll see. That might just be human nature. I don't know. I don't know if are Virginians and Marylanders gonna get into blood feuds. I don't know. Could happen pretty quickly.
Um, the Virginia, I mean, you could definitely see the urbanites against the rural people.
The
Um,
rural people will win that one because the
yeah.
rural people are very heavily armed. So,
Yeah, and
and they're not about
I
to
think
give.
they're on a lot less drugs than the
Yeah,
city people.
they are not about to give up their food and wealth to the wandering zombie hordes. So I'm not. That'll resolve itself quickly.
I mean that's what happened in Mao's Great Famine, I think. It wasn't an
Yeah,
open war between the rural areas and the cities, but it's the cities that starved to death, and the rural areas in China were I wouldn't say they were okay, but if you knew
yeah.
how to get food from the forests, like you were okay. You could if you could fish and you
You
had a
can
fishing
make
pole.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is if you look a little too plump, the commissars come by and pillage. So,
Do
but
you,
like I said, that's not gonna happen in America where we are too heavily armed. So that was the whole point.
yeah. Do you know what I found out today? With one of my I have this app that I play, mental games in the morning just to keep my brain going. And one of them was a short biography of W.E.B. Du Bois. I think he was one of the
Okay.
founders of the NAACP.
Yes.
This one of the classic early very liberal guys, and he uh, in 1959, this is during the worst years of Mao's Great Famine, he visited Mao Zedong, and that year he decided to found the United States Communist Party. Like he was so impressed. Like that's how much of an idiot he was. Like this whole liberal nonsense. It was gone back in the 19th, 20th century. They were that stupid. and they still are. You show up Potemkin Village, Mao says, "Oh, look how great we are. Look at Beijing. It's beautiful and red." Meanwhile, everybody in the country's dying, and you don't even notice. But
Do you know how Mao came to power? There was a
wasn't
hyperinflation in 1949 in China, and
oh crap.
that degree, yeah. Not to, but that degraded the basically the Chiang Kai-shek soldiers were getting paid in monopoly money, so they just lost the will to fight.
Can't you say also that George Washington came to power because of the hyperinflation of the Continental, or is that inaccurate?
Uh, I don't know. I don't think that's accurate. I'd have to look. But the Continental that was after the US, wasn't it? Or after the US was formed.
Yeah,
It
well, I
wasn't
think I
colonial
think
money.
it well, yeah, but from 1776 to 1780, whatever it was, we were under the Articles of Confederation. I think that's when the Continental existed, and then with the Constitution, I don't know. I might be wrong about this. I have to look up the history.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it. As I understand, there was lots of Spanish silver and stuff floating around. So I think America just rejected the Continental. I don't know too much about that period though.
Mhm.
I mean, it wasn't like there was nothing else to trade in. That was the point, is that people were just like, yeah, instead of this Continental, how about you pay me in Spanish doubloons?
Yeah. Actually, before we go to our final topic, I heard a pretty convincing reasoning as to why the American Revolution. I guess we should talk about this for a minute because it's July 5th. Happy birthday to America, 250. And why the American Revolution succeeded and other revolutions failed in terms of human success and human happiness, right?
Yeah,
It's a very easy case to make. The American Revolution wasn't perfect, but it was basically a success for
yeah,
the human race. And that's because other revolutions, let's say the French Revolution or the Chinese Communist Revolution or the USSR, they all have the same thing in common, that is they're trying to build a utopia. Right? And when utopia doesn't happen, you just kill the people who are saying that it's not here. And then and you tell anyone who says that it's not a utopia, you say you're going to kill them, and then it becomes a utopia.
yeah,
But in the American Revolution was not based on utopia. It wasn't even trying to make a utopia. It was saying we're just going to let people do what they want, and they're going to live on the biblical value that the world is not a utopia, that we ate from the tree of knowledge, that now we're going to have to work and now things are going to suck. But if you work hard, you can get through it. And we're just going to let people do that. And we're not going to try to make anything perfect. And that's why the American Revolution succeeded, right?
yeah. I
Because
wonder.
the basic biblical values that it was based on.
I wonder if that can only succeed when there's like not a lot of population centers. Like if there's a very rural population, not a lot of big cities, and then so everybody's already in that independent, like I'm gonna tend to my own garden kind of mentality. I think when you have, huge factories in big cities that require a lot of people working together to construct something, I think that tends to make people more socialist, but I'm not sure. This is just a theory in my head,
Mhm. Well, we'll try to work
socialist
that out
minded.
next time.
Yeah.
The last topic we were going to talk about is the business cycle part of nature? Is it natural?
Yeah. Is it like an avalanche, like where just snow accumulates and then you have an avalanche, or is it something? Because if it's just a natural, if the boom bust cycle is just a natural phenomena, then there's not really anything we can do. But if it isn't a natural phenomena, then we could theoretically put rules in place that would prevent or just remove the rule, because the governmental rules are what's causing this. But if you were just to not let government get to the size it gets, then the free market would not allow banks to issue false credit, and you would not have a boom bust cycle.
I think it's phenomenon. I think phenomena is plural.
I'm sorry, phenomena. There you
Phenomenon, nah, nah, nah. Like criterion,
go.
criteria, it's plural.
You're
Right.
right. I stand
Yeah.
corrected.
Good. Well, what causes the business cycle? I mean, look, it depends what you mean by natural. because the world goes in cycles: spring, summer, fall, winter. Spring, there's a boom. Winter is a bust, and it happens every year. And you save in the spring to get through the winter, and that's how you do it. So businesses have their own natural business cycle. There's seasonal, and so you could make the case that the business cycle is natural, and there's going to be a natural boom and bust, even if we had a stable monetary system, because some businesses have a boom in some months of the year and other businesses don't. So there's always going to be cyclicality. That's natural. Um, the business cycle itself, though, this boom bust in terms of everything
Yeah. The
together,
expand is the expansion of artificial credit. A
right? So that's just a way to describe a certain system of theft. Like the when if you just take it down to theft, right? What is theft? If I steal from you, I have more and you have less. Therefore, I have a boom and you have a bust. And then if I keep doing that and you keep getting poorer and I keep getting richer, and then all of a sudden you run out of stuff and I can't steal from you anymore, then I
You have a
go
bust
through a
too.
bust and then you go through a boom because you're not being stolen from anymore, right? So that's the business cycle just between us. If I steal from you, I win until I can't steal from you, and then you run out of stuff, and then you're growing again. Like,
Yeah.
um, so inflation is just a way that everybody steals from everybody, and then it affects the entire economic system that everyone is participating in. The question is theft natural? Well, sort of it is, because we're always tempted. In the state of nature is everybody steals from everybody, especially in the animal kingdom. That's how they survive. They
Yeah.
just
Like a
they
tick. Yeah.
they
Let's
take
say a
from each
tick.
other. They take from each other, and there's natural forces that build up when they all come into balance with each other, and they know where their borders are, and they say we can't take any more from that clan over there, so we're just going to stay steady in these numbers. And then nature has this way. And when things change, other species come in and take over. If there's like a big weather change or a big climate change or whatever it is, not political climate change, but actual climate change, or whatever might happen, or die-offs. Um, so the imperative that we have as humans is to not live in the state of nature. So paradoxically, an evenly rotating economy, or an economy where everyone's honest and nobody's stealing from each other, is the least natural the least natural thing on the planet, because every other species steals from each other. But we can live outside of nature in the sense that we don't have to steal from each other, and then there wouldn't be a boom bust cycle. There'd be booms and busts within businesses, whether they succeed or fail. But overall, activity should balance out year after year after year and continue to grow as we produce more stuff and people get wealthier, but steadily.
So it's not natural.
It's natural, but it's not necessary.
Okay, it's avoidable. That is
Yeah.
avoidable. Okay. So here's my thing. I'm gonna take this up a notch, Rafi. I think it's a potential great filter. So if you imagine we are a Kardashev 1 civilization, so we've got, solar panels all around the sun and
What's
we're harvesting
Kardashev?
Kardashev. So a Kardashev civilization comes in, I think it's like three levels. So the Kardashev 1 civilization can harvest all their energy from their star. So you have a planet rotating around a star, the civilization develops to the point where it can harvest all the energy around that star. And then Kardashev 3 is the whole galaxy. So and 2 is some sort of like a quadrant or something like that, like Star Trek level.
Okay.
Anyway, so imagine we're Kardashev 1 civilization, and then we start going into a hyperinflation, or we start going to a credit boom. And then we get people like Bill Gates getting enormous, I mean, power and money that, Elon Musk can't even dream of, because we have so much power and energy now. Um, and he said, the Bill Gates of, 2450 says, I think the Earth should be 19 degrees cooler than it is right now. And he uses his power to redirect all the solar panels away from Earth so that it blocks, the sun is blocking out, 2% of the sunlight's blocked out from Earth. And he can finally get his global cooling because he was worried about global warming or whatever. I could see that going awry and like all life on Earth being wiped out.
Yeah.
And it's just because, the Cantillon effect made one man so powerful with so much power to be had. Because right now, I mean, like right now, with this inflationary event, what are we doing? We're building AI data centers. They're worthless. We're taking farmland, we're taking productive farmland and building an AI data center on it that's, going to be shut down in a few years. And who knows what, that building's probably just going to fall in disrepair. The land is ruined. It'll take forever to like turn that back into farmland if that's what we were going to do with it. Maybe they'll use the building for something else, right? So we're destroying things locally. We're making unproductive stuff locally, but we're not doing it on a global level. Like Bill Gates would love to like salt the clouds with temperature reducing stuff, but he's not powerful enough to do it. But I'm worried if he was powerful enough to do it, he would, and then we would have an extinction event.
So you're saying if the business cycle is allowed or the credit cycle is allowed to continue without an end game, someone's going to get too powerful and destroy everything.
Yes, especially as our civilization advances and we become more and more powerful, right? We become more and more ability, we have a stronger and stronger ability to manipulate the environment around us.
Well, continuing on the biblical values theme, after creation, one of the first after total civilizational destruction, the first thing we have again is the first communist story of the Tower of Babel, and then it's promised that that's not going to happen either. Like a flood happened, God promised it's not going to happen again. Sorry, and I'm not letting that happen. Like because here's a little Dvar Torah. So what do the rabbis say? Um, caused the collapse of civilization during the flood? Well, the pasuk says the verse says Hamas. That's the Hebrew word Hamas. It means outright theft of everything from everyone. There's no property rights. It's basically just a system of theft that is infinite and just keeps going, going, going. And then at some point, what you're saying is that if the business cycle, credit cycle is allowed to continue, that's what happens. You should have these giants that steal from these huge,
Yeah, you just
powerful
get you
people.
get
They're living like 900 years. They're just taking everything, and that's where that verse that is. I'm asked about this verse a lot, talking about the Bnei Elohim taking the Bnot Hadam, the children of Elohim taking the daughters of man for whatever they want, and people interpret that as like half man, half angels coming down from heaven, and I don't know, like these Herculean sort of half God, half man type of things. That's not what it means. Bnei Elohim just means powerful people, and Bnot Hadam means the girls of less powerful people. It just means the powerful taking advantage of the non-powerful, and then got to destroy the entire civilization. And then what happens after he does that? We start reproducing again, and then there's this king called Nimrod, the king of Babylon, and he tries to build a huge tower. And God's like, "Oh God, this is happening again." Well, God wouldn't say, "Oh God," he'd just say, "Oh me." But
oh me.
yeah, it's like this is happening again. He's like, well, I got to go down now before this gets too bad, and just like smush everything up. And so that's these two destruction stories are one after the other to say that God's not going to let the business cycle get so bad to the point where the entire planet's going to be destroyed. He's going to come in and intervene. And I don't take that as some supernatural thing's going to come flying from the sky and something's going to happen. The system is not going. Creation was set up so that this is not going to be allowed. There's going to be something that trips it up, something that the Fed is not watching, something that the most powerful people do not have their eye on because they don't know everything. They know very, very little. They're part of the
Yeah.
same complex system that we're part of. There's a lot that they don't know. They happen to have a lot of resources, but resources that are based on theft, and they're going to lose it, and we'll be okay.
There you go. So you turned to faith in that one. Okay. Um,
I try to
yeah, I
keep
mean,
my faith as logical as I can. I'm
yeah.
not. I'm not. I'm not relying on miracles. I'm just trying to figure out what the system is designed to accept.
I mean, my theory would be, hundreds or thousands of years in the future. So I'm not gonna live to see its debunking or its confirmation. But I was just thinking, like, if you think about how powerful some people get in an inflationary system, and usually those people are weird psychopaths. So I mean, imagine, on a gold standard, there wouldn't be a Dr. Fauci. The government wouldn't have these people trying to run our lives. It would just be he would just be a local doctor, and you either go to him if you're sick or you don't. It's up to you.
Hmm.
So
You
I
know
look
what would be
forward
the
to.
the worst villain, the most despicable cringy villain that you could possibly think of would be a combination of Fauci and Hotez, like in one person.
And
Ugh,
Fotez,
Fote,
Fautez.
Fautez.
Yeah, but they would be, they'd probably be crackpots, on an honest gold standard, with all the doctor, with all the medical community competing with each other, they'd probably be relegated to the sidelines instead of given, oh, here's tons of power, decide what to do with all the people, and then you get all these Dr. Mengele experiments on us.
They remind me of these Ayn Rand villains, but not the uber villains like Ellsworth Toohey, the sub villains like Peter Keating, who's controlled by Ellsworth Toohey. Like somebody, it seems like somebody was behind Peter Hotez and it's like, there's a guy that I can control and who can get on there with a bow tie and look like an idiot and do what I say. Somebody's behind that guy, just cooking him up as some kind of cartoon freak
Now,
and putting him in front of the cameras.
to finish up on this point, back to the not whether it being a natural cycle or not, what can be done if we were just to advise the viewer? What could be done to prevent the credit cycle in the future, if anything?
I don't know if any.
The artificial credit cycle. If nothing can be done, then it probably is a natural phenomenon.
I
Is
don't
there
think
any?
I don't think anything can be done to convince humanity that theft is not worth it. Because there's
Yeah,
always going to be people that are going to want to steal. Um, I don't think there's any way to stop it other than a change in human nature. And
yeah,
I can't imagine how that would happen other than divine intervention or some kind of
yeah.
promise.
Well, a lot of people
Um,
don't consider this that. I mean, I was thinking I have a family member who's they were in the military for most of their lives in the officer corps. They retire with a very cushy pension from the military, and they've been a contract. They've been having at post military retirement. They've been working as a government contractor for the military. And if you think about it, all that money was other, productive members of society paying for this person's, plush living. And they were, I'm not, they worked very hard, but it was all for, the public sector. Um, so, is that theft? I mean, the strict Austrian would consider that theft.
well, look, once you're part of a system,
Yeah.
then you do what you can for your own self-interest within that system. And if that's theft, then that's the corruption of society. Even the good people are forced to be part of it. I was imagining, like, if I was part of corporate America, then I would really care about sales for some company that I really don't care about now, not because I care about that company, but because my self-interest depends on it. So you're plugged into these systems. All you can do is you try to build a society from the ground up where the systems are as honest as possible. But
Yeah.
then, I just want one last thing before we sign off. And this is part of my rethinking on libertarianism and foreign policy and non-intervention. I'm still mostly a non-interventionist, but I'm starting to understand if you have a society or a country that's as powerful as the United States, and then you have something like China that does not have the values, the basically the Christian values that America was founded on, that at least theoretically say that theft is a bad thing, right? China has none of that. It's just power. Then you have to control them in some way. I mean, they can become very dangerous, and in order to do that, you end up being forced to manage an empire. If there was really non-intervention, if America really didn't intervene in any of this stuff to weaken potential enemies, then you could make a case that they would eventually destabilize the United States and destroy its society. That's how it always is. I'm not convinced that non-interventionism is even functional.
Well, we saved both the USSR and China. I mean, when China was having Tiananmen Square, like it could have collapsed at that point, but America showed up with a whole bunch of loans and preferential trade agreements to keep the Communist Party alive. So we've been puppeting China for quite some time.
But there has to be a reason why that was done. What is
Just
it?
to because we were able to put China because China before was locked out of the treasury system. It was not participating. So we got to put China into the treasury system and start taking our treasury bills and giving
Hmm.
us stuff. So so
Okay, so
if
then
yeah, I mean
it all comes down to greed and inflation again.
yeah, it all comes back. It all comes
Okay.
back full
So you're saying
circle.
without inflation, non-interventionism or maximum non-interventionism that's possible could work better
Yeah,
than
I don't think communist China or the USSR would have lasted nearly as long as they did without the US propping both of them up
just to buy our debt.
just to buy our debt. Yes.
Okay. It's inflation again. I should have known that. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Okay.
So we'll know. It'll be a much like I think post. I mean, I think we'll be several generations of people of much more money flowing and much less credit flowing, and so I expect we'll have much smaller. Whether China and the US and Russia stay as federated entities or whether they break up into smaller entities, they're going to be much more decentralized. They're not going to have these giant centralized government bureaucracies are a product of the inflationary system, and they're going to go away. So
Hmm.
who knows what it's going to look like on the other side, but I do know it's going to be a lot more decentralized.
Hopefully they go away before Asia stops reproducing entirely.
Yeah, that would be
And
nice. I would like
yeah,
to
and we
see
say and
people
South Korea saves itself and North Korea
ban.
stops being communist and the rest of these countries start making babies again. That would be I don't want to lose these cultures.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, it'd be
Yeah.
great.
Okay. Well, that was an interesting conversation. Thanks
How's
for
Israel's birth rate?
we're very, very high. We're the highest in the Western
It's so
world.
weird. But you guys are I mean, you're an inflated system as well.
Yeah, but we have a system. Well, I'll explain it briefly, right?
Okay.
First of
Sorry, I
all,
didn't mean to sidetrack.
we have a culture that's much older than any of these inflationary systems are, and we're constantly under attack. So we know that we have to keep reproducing, or that's it. There's no point. And how it works mechanically is that there are what they call the ultra Orthodox. They're called Haredi Jews, and their birth rates are extremely high. But the relationship between the most secular Jews and the most ultra Orthodox is such that even the secular Jews, the ones that have at least a connection with Judaism, and almost all Jews do some connection, they don't see they still see themselves as part of the same people. And so the influence of the Haredim, of the ultra Orthodox, on the ultra secular goes one way. Like they see the ultra Orthodox and they say, well, they're having babies, so they're part of our people. We have to have babies too. Except the secular don't influence the ultra Orthodox the other way because the ultra Orthodox kind of locked off in their own kind of thing. So the high birth rates of the ultra Orthodox filter down through society to the religious Zionists and then to the secular, influencing all of them all the way down. So there's almost nobody that would have no kids or one kid. At least everyone's going to try for at least three.
Okay.
Um, and that's why we have that's why Iran has 1.2, 1.3, something very low. They're dying also. We're the only ones in the we're not really part of the West. We're proto West. We're before the West, but the West comes from us. So we're winning in that. Um, that's
There
not
you
going
go.
anywhere.
Well, hopefully the rest of the world catches up. So it'd be nice to at least everyone to go back to stabilization rates and not plummeting birth rates. But that should happen. That should happen, everybody. We should start seeing birth rates again once we're back in the gold standard.
All right,
All right.
good.
You can
Looking
sign off
forward.
here.
All right.
See you, Ravi.
Have a good week.